When you have a music business question that you can't figure out, do what all the stars do. Ask Orville. Here is the star of the show, Orville Allman.
I'm Orville. I'm with Allman Law PLLC. The question from the viewer today is, what is a finder's fee and how does it work? Well, a finder's fee is a fee that's paid to a third party for a service in obtaining some type of deal or introduction or something that's done to help move on a career. It's normally done in a person that's helping someone obtain a record deal. What really needs to be done in a finder's deal is needs to be defined, what services are you performing? Is an introduction enough that they introduce you to an A&R person and that introduction ends up a year later or 2 years later or 5 years later you end up signing with that label? Does that mean that that finder gets a fee? Or have you got something in the contract in the finder's fee that this finder has to not only introduce you to this person but has to set up meetings, has to shop a packet, has to give reports to you, has to what other services are they going to perform? Does a phone call that has someone that you make up one phone call and that phone call ends up making an appointment with a A&R person, which is an artist and repertoire person at a record label who's normally, for lack of a better word, a talent scout. And these people get signed. Do you get a finder's fee? Finder's fee in a lot of these agreements are 10%, but 10% of what? 10% of all the advances, 10% of all the royalties for the whole life of the deal? Is it only on one album? Is it on 2 albums, 3 albums, or all the albums in the deal? Or is the finder fee just based upon a flat fee? Have you just said you get X amount of dollars if you find a deal for me? So, I mean, a finder's fee, to make in summary, is just basically what it says. Someone has found something and now they're getting a fee for having accomplished a certain service in finding this thing that the goal was set out in the contract of what your services were supposed to be, and with those services resulting in a certain thing happening, they were going to participate, either be paid a fee or they were going to participate in some type of the percentage of the money that resulted from that deal they got. And that's basically what a finder's fee is. But like I said, the main thing in a finder's fee, it's easy to say, I'll give you 10% of this deal, or I'll give you 5% of this deal, or whatever. But the main thing is reducing it to paper so you can define exactly what they're supposed to be done, or what they're supposed to do. And when those services have been successful, what's counted as successful, what's counted as their efforts resulting in that deal. What happens if you get a deal but it didn't come from them? Is this finder's deal mean if you get any deal within a certain period of time they get a finder's deal? Or is it non-exclusive? This deal has to come directly from them, where you can go out and you can deal with 3 or 4 different people. Wonder if you find your own deal, or your lawyer finds the deal, or your business manager finds the deal, or you find the deal through another friend of yours who doesn't think that they ought to get compensated for introducing you to the head of A&R for a certain record company. So the main thing on a finder's deal, like I said before, is basically they're providing a service and finding a certain type of deal for you, obtaining that. But the whole thing is what does that mean? And that normally has to do with the contract. You should never enter in to have any ambiguities with people on that. I'll pay you X amount of money, or I'll pay you X amount of percentage on some type of verbal situation, because all that's going to do is end up either in a lawsuit or you end up having to settle with this person, because when you go to make a deal and these people come out of the blue, record labels don't want these type of disputes. They want clean cut. The less you sign, the less they have to deal with. unless you've got a professional group of people together and you're fully developed, ready to go, with a team of people behind you and all of that, that's the type of things that you got to look for. But when you go out and you sign deals and they're verbally and these people start popping up, that gives off the wrong signal. So you got to make sure that you know what you're doing. Everybody knows what the finder's obligations are, what the finder fee should, like I said, should be in writing, and it shouldn't be a homemade job that you and the finder sit down and just scribble out some notes. It should be taken to a lawyer, formally drafted. Both sides should be represented. Both sides should have content into the contract as what their concerns are, what their goals are, what they're looking for. So it gets more specific once it's in writing, and therefore what's ever said verbally, can be put into the writing so it can be understood and so there's no misunderstandings on what the finder's fee is going to be.
The material is for informational purposes only and does not in any way constitute legal advice or create an attorney-client relationship. The information contained in this website cannot and is not meant to replace the advice of competent legal counsel licensed in your state. To get your question answered, send an email to john@NashvilleNinjaMGT.com with questions for Orville, and visit the Ask Orville page on Facebook and leave your question on the wall.